There are two aspects of language: I language, that is internal language, E language, that is external language. I language is the language in mind, the thing that goes on into the mind. That is I language. E language refers to the external aspects of language, that is, its spoken or realized form. The spoken form of language is the E language, the external language. When we are talking about I language, we refer to language. Example, Hindi in particular is the study of Hindi, the mechanism that goes beyond, that goes on behind the functioning of Hindi language in particular is I language. So when we're talking about I language, we refer to language, not languages. Languages is part of E language. Language is a pattern system of arbitrary sounds. Arbitrary. It's a purely governed phenomena. This arbitrariness is governed. So something that is arbitrary is governed. Arbitrariness plays great role in language, but language is not arbitrary. We have no evidence to say that languages like Hindi, English, etc., in human mind, say that languages are not like Hindi or English in the human mind. Languages are way more complicated things. Yes, complicated things. But we can hypothetically and convincingly say that what is part of human mind is principles and parameters. Breakdown in communication happens when the listener doesn't get the idea which is being communicated. That is breakdown in communication. Any name is arbitrary. Any name, any object is arbitrary. There is no reason why this is a video or a PDF, a video of this in particular would be called a video, for example. But there is no reason why this is called a video. How the sounds involved in saying video. Association between object and any word which relates to it is arbitrary. So there's this arbitrary relationship between the object and the word which relates to this object. Formation of these arbitrary sounds in cohesion with one another follows a very systematic constraint. Formation of these arbitrary sounds in cohesion which come together, these arbitrary sounds come together, follow a systematic constraint which cannot be broken, or which is a principle. There is a principle behind it. Pencil as a cluster of sounds which is arbitrary in nature follows certain constraints on the selection of units of sound which will come together to form this arbitrary unit. What is not arbitrary is the system that underlies the choice of these units of sound. That is not arbitrary. So the principles are not arbitrary, but these are the idea behind it, the object, its name. Why is it named as such? That is arbitrary, but the principle behind it, it's robust. It never changes. It's not arbitrary to say. One can come up with the argument that Indian languages, sorry about that, one can come up with one can come up with the argument that Indian languages can come up with sentences where SOV word order, as in tum football khelte ho, is arranged in SVO word order, as in tum khelte ho football. So the SOV word order changes to SVO word order, but that is scrambling. That represents the strength of a language where word order is changed and it still retains the grammaticality of the language. Indian languages allow for scrambling. Indian languages allow for scrambling. This phenomena of certain languages is not arbitrary. This phenomena of specific languages, to say Indian languages can scramble. So this phenomena of Indian languages is not arbitrary. There's a robust principle behind it. There's a robust principle functioning behind it. There's no language where a sentence doesn't have a verb. There is no language where the sentence doesn't have a verb. Every language has sentences in which there's a verb, and it is certain a robust principle. The smallest sentence possible, what could it be? It could be go. That's a sentence. It has a verb. But if I say hello to somebody, that's not a sentence. That's not a sentence precisely. So now, certain things to know about language and language in the context of India, as in a general knowledge. Languages spoken in India. So India has 1,600 languages that are spoken on the Indian mainland. George Grierson's Linguistic Survey of India, which was conducted around 1930s, I guess. 1930. It explicitly said that India has over 1,650 languages. Such a vast diversity of languages. India has no national language. No national language. Hindi is an official language of India. Hindi is not the official language of India. I'm sorry about this text. Okay. India is the only nation that has a linguistic component in its constitution. India is the only nation that has a linguistic component in its constitution. Total number of languages in the world, 69, approximately around 6,900 languages in the world, and approximately 25 to 30% languages are from India. Republic Day of India, 26th of January. Why did Constitution not come into effect on 15th of August 1947? What delayed acceptance of the documents for 2 more years was a debate on language. It is famously known as Constituent Assembly debate. The longest debate was about language itself. Hindi was declared as official language at that time. Hindi was declared as the official language of India, whereas English was declared as the associate official language of India. Now, there's a thing about associate. Associate isn't something second or below or inferior, it is at par with Hindi. An associate is something which is at par. So it was at par with Hindi, at par, that is parallel.